The first thing that my guide said when I asked them about March of 2025 was the earth will shake. I'll explain more about what that means and why that could spell the end of Trump, plus other top predictions in this March 2025 a psychic forecast. So the first thing on the list, I've got 25 points. So number one is that I had a vision of the Statue of Liberty with military planes flying around it and helicopters, like what do they call Black Hawk helicopters. Now, sometimes psychic sensing is symbolic. So this could literally mean that there's some military activity necessary around the New York harbor, or it could symbolize an attack on our freedom, basically, because that's what the Statue of Liberty means. Now, also remember timelines are fluid, so predictions are just that, predictions. A forecast is a forecast. If we change the energy, then now collectively it changes what happens in the future. So let's feed a lot of positivity into the collective. And we're not about doom and gloom. We want you to understand the trends of the energies, how that's affecting you, how that's affecting the world, so you can be more informed, so that you can live your life better and plan and prepare for things. So number two is that I had a vision of horses in a barn surrounded by a fence and breaking down that fence and running free. Now that could be literal if there's like earthquakes in the area, because horses and other animals are very good at sensing that more than humans. But I think it's a symbolic of some type of revolutionary activity that's happening. People demanding their freedom. They demand to break free of the constraints that the society puts on them. I believe this is huge on the exposures of our control-based systems in the world and in governments and corporations and stuff like that. So that's a very important symbol. The third thing I wanted to go into why there's concerns about the end of the Trump presidency. For one thing, and this was a prediction I got many, many months ago for March, well, more for April, but for around this time, of another assassination attempt against Trump. Also, I was being shown, again, this was a long time ago, health issues coming up around him toward this time, March into April, so we're getting there. Also, there's a serious rift that's being created, almost a revolution in the Republican Party, creating a lot of enemies, a lot of tension in the world government and stuff like that. And there's going to be a lot of pushback, basically. Possible pushback against the Doge agendas, the executive orders overturned, things of that nature. I'll get back to Trump in a minute. Let me move on, because I've got this all listed for you. Number 4 is a spiritual revolution. All right, getting back to Trump, not to keep everybody hanging in suspense. I believe that he's going to be able to survive, and my original prediction that he's going to step down in about 2.5 years will pan out, but there's real reasons to believe that it could happen a lot sooner, and it's something to keep an eye on. Again, timelines are fluid, and maybe Spirit's not going to give us the direct answer quite yet. So number 4, spiritual revolution. More people are having awakenings than ever. That's going to spike in March. Energy and frequencies on the planet are incredibly high and getting higher, and that creates a lot of changes in collective consciousness and the collective fields, as well as what happens on the earth. The old structures must fall because they're built on the weak foundation of greed, power over others, corruption, and these higher frequencies don't support those lower energies. So the foundations have to fall, and then as a society, as a collective, we rebuild on the stronger foundation of compassion and love and power backed by the people, for the people, and fair government, fair economy, fairness to all people, rather than a system that benefits a minute few at the detriment of a great many, basically. So huge surge of global corruption begins, and there's a longer video you can check out that I did yesterday that I itemized all of the corruptions that are likely to start to get exposed, and it goes above and beyond what we're hearing from the Trump administration. I'll post that on the end screen for you. So moving right along, number 4, the Earth shakes. So a big surge that's one meaning, a big surge in seismic activity. More earthquakes and volcanoes this month, probably than ever, and it's been increasing all along, basically. Watch out for California. We had this prediction a while ago. Uh, Also, the southern plains, although that might be later in the year. And honestly, earthquakes could come up anywhere, but this could be the big one somewhere, some big activity. Also, with the volcanoes, watch either Mount St. Helena or the area around the northwest, the area around Indonesia, around Italy, Greece. Again, we've been seeing activity there also. And we could get a volcano so intense that it could actually start to cool the planet slightly in the months to come. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how and with that pans out. I'm also seeing some fissures that may develop around the American West, Yellowstone, the Southwest, areas like that. Also, earth shaking global and financial and world government changes begin. So, the earth shakes is happening in the society as well as the planet itself. And as these higher frequencies are hitting the planet, the energy increases. There's more energy, there's more movement, and that leads to more earthquake. This is also an eclipse season in March, so when the eclipse happened, it increases those activities. Unusual sinkholes forming, and that could pertain to things like hydrofracking. That causes wastewater ejections, earthquakes, exploding of underground tunnels, a lot of reasons, but I think we're going to see that. I do feel like peace talks will resume with Ukraine, Russia, and the Middle East, despite of something that happened in the White House yesterday that I just found out about this morning. I also was, this would be number 7 about Putin. Cancer, they were saying a recurrence of cancer for Putin. And honestly, when I heard about that news in last spring that Putin has cancer, I didn't think that was real news, but they said a recurrence. And I've seen lesions on the skin, so that may be something to watch out for, either March or a little bit later on. With him maybe developing like skin cancer, stuff like that. We may not even know or find out. So number 8, tariffs modified or negated in some places, but I feel like the tariffs isn't really the end game. It's really to drive world economy. That's not really a forecast. That's just what is, right? That's not really a psychic prediction. But I do think that there's going to be some some adjustments and changes of that. Some tariffs may go into effect, some may not, but modification on that would be the prediction. Number 9, economic shakeup talks about a gold standard, digital currency, new agencies developed for financial security around this and other countries. So we are in an economic reset now, and I think it's going to continue, probably peak in April actually. Number 10, biggest month for AI development, medical development, inventions, technology, stuff like that. Number 11, Stargate agenda gets challenged on several fronts, including the mRNA vaccines, because that's part of the Stargate agenda. AI networks, centralizing power, surveillance through AI, stuff like that. That our current administration has received donations from 3 different sources of $500 billion to move forward on the Stargate agenda. That would improve satellite technology. A lot of about AI and stuff like that. So number 12. More to come out about mRNA vaccines. 2 more states may move to ban it. Right now, Montana is moving to ban mRNA vaccines because things are coming out that were not disclosed in the beginning about some of the issues, both the efficacy or efficiency of the vaccine as well as potential side effects not properly disclosed. At least that's the opinion on that. And more comes out about chemical spraying, and more states may ban that. Chemtrails is the term that's used. More reveals on how the HARP technology, geoengineering, and other forms of weather modification coming out. So this is interesting. It's already started. Now, the 13th thing was I got a vision of everything being painted blue, and that may not be literal, but from my understanding, there's been direct energy weapon or do attacks, and some believe that those are the causes of some of the fires, like LA, Maui, and stuff like that. But it's believed that blue helps to repel the effects of the direct energy weapons. So I think that was just a symbol, or just a vision about more knowledge coming out about that, potentially. 14 was three separate terrorist attacks. Toronto, for that reason or other reasons, may be on the news. And watch out for fires also in around Canada, around Toronto. I think there's going to be another metropolitan fire. Also, Dallas and that area came up. So there may be some news around there. It'll be other parts. I'm not going to pick up on every single thing. Number 15, more crazy weather. Unusual severe weather in the South and Midwest, including tornadoes, floods, hail, snow in the Middle East or Southern Europe, big heat wave in the Southwest in the month of March, and lots of other things. More weather records shattered. Okay. Number 16, UFOs, ETs in the news. More sophisticated drone sightings. Could be major reveals later in the month or in April about alien technology, interactions between aliens and humans, stuff like that. And more people are being contacted. So I think we're going to get more revealing photos or commentaries. And then I think it's already big news. I think it's going to be bigger news. So number 17 was regional blackouts, partial shortages, solar poles flip, high occurrence of solar storms. So we may get a lot of solar flares, auroras, and stuff like that. Number 18, economic crash, reset, probably peaks in April. More, and then after that, there'll be more movement towards fair global financial systems will follow. Again, the old has to fall for the new to be built. Number 19, more violent protests, increase of that. A lot of this won't be on the news. The revolution will not be televised, right? But there is a lot of revolutionary activity, a lot of underground movements, plants, more spiritual, possibly even star seeds, or ascended masters in sensitive positions of world government. So it's like there's a revolutionary change in the guards happening, but some of that's happening from within. A lot's happening on the internet, not on the battlefields. But we'll see that divide increasing, basically, and we'll see a lot of pushback. I'm not just talking about the Trump administration. I'm talking about the whole archaic two-party system in this country and the whole unfair political structure of the world that creates a lot of negative programming so that the powers that be can continue to control everything. So anyway, number 20 was connections between the mystery fogs and other unusual events, and maybe at least entertaining the possibility that there's a link between that and the recent spikes of cancer that we've been seeing in the world, which is all lead into the new and expensive cancer vaccines using mRNA technology and AI technology. All right, so moving right along, number 21, increased labor strikes. Number 22, world leaders rallying together against Trump, against the tariffs, and some of the policies that the U.S. is trying to push forward in the world, and then they see it as a... Now, I think with a lot of higher energy, with the awakening, some of this is going to shift, maybe not in March, and I think there'll be more cooperation amongst world leaders, with or without Trump, possibly with him. So anyway, hang in there. 22 world leaders rallied. Okay, number 23, more assassinations, unfortunately, disappearances. This can affect world leaders, corporate heads, stuff like that. Number 24, restructuring of NATO or possibly other international alliances, maybe the United Nations also. Global structures, global marketplace undergoing radical changes beginning in March. And number 25, this is a spiritual revolution, basically. The old has to fall so that the new can rise. Do your spiritual work, double down on that. Cultivate the heart. This is one of our mantras on the channel. Our other mantra about Trump is that he's the figure that exposes the corruption, but he may just be the catalyst, the figure, not the cause. But we've been saying this forever. Love him or hate him, he's going to be the catalyst for all this huge change. And we're seeing it coming down February too, but in March also. So do your spiritual, cultivate the heart. The heart's the eye of the storm. We need to be in the eye of the storm, because if we get too wrapped up in what's going on in the world and all the arguments and all the division and everything, we get pulled down into those lower energies. But if we stay in the heart, we stay in high vibrations, we become resistant to programming also, because hearts can't be programmed. And when you're in the energy of the heart, the brain becomes coherent and they join, and you become much more powerful, more connected to spirit, source, or God, and much more influential. And the more people that do this, the more we can avoid some of the challenges and some of the heartache in the world that we're seeing. We're entering very tumultuous times. Suffering is hard to watch, but may be necessary for the old world that has caused countless suffering throughout the centuries and millenniums to fall, so that we can rebuild society based upon human and spiritual values. I'm not a big advocate of the ends justifying the means, but unfortunately, huge global changes means people are probably going to suffer. And the earth, again, with all these higher frequencies activating the earth, the changes of climate also, it's changing the weather, it's creating more stress in the tectonic plates, creating more volcanoes, earthquakes, extreme weather, as well as the political changes, rulings that affect poor people, all that stuff. But it all has to happen and come out so that humanity can reach its next step, and then we can end the suffering. So if you want a deep dive, there's a lot more going on, including lists of corruption in a 90-minute video. So you want to deep dive into the energies of March 25, check this video out here. And thank you. Happy March. And it's going to be glorious in the end. We're going to be okay.